Not live yet.
It looks like we are live.
Good morning, traders. I don't know if this is going through. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Trader Bacon Show. I am your host, Gates Adams, and such a pleasure to be here with you guys today. Definitely have a phenomenal show for you guys today, but wanted to address a couple of really cool things that are going on right now. First and foremost, we will be giving away 3 evaluations today, so do make sure that you go ahead and get those forms filled out. Those should be in the chat here in just a moment. And I want to congratulate last week's winners, Wen, Rob, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, Ixael. I'm going to just hope that I did that right. Congratulations to you guys. We'll be giving away 3 more based on today's show, and we'll be announcing those winners next week. Also, a couple of things. A new episode of the Trader Bacon Show just went out last Thursday, so make sure to check that out. You can see that on all my socials at The Forged Trader. You can also see that on iTunes or Spotify. Just look up the Forged Trader podcast. And if you want more information on what's going on in the world of the Forged Trader, you can go to theforgedtrader.com/join and get updates. I will, of course, never let your information get out of my hands. And we'll never take advantage of that. So check that out. Also, as of this morning, I know everybody has been waiting for it. 80% off at Apex Trader Funding, all evaluations, some special discounts on the big boys as usual when we get those. Make sure to go check that out. Promo code Benzinga will always get you the best price available on any evaluation at any time. This is actually live through June 24th, at midnight. So make sure to take full advantage of that over the course of the next couple of weeks. But if it's time to add to the arsenal, now is a good time to get that done. All of that said, we've got a phenomenal show for you today. I got my buddy TJ from DTF Trades. He's going to share some great insights with you guys today on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now. TJ, good morning. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Gates.
How's it going?
Man, great day, great market. It's moving. At least it's not chopping around.
Yeah,
choosing a direction at least.
Yeah, finally get a little move. As I was sharing with you before we started the stream, I'm trying to really rein in my discipline in terms of not just going rogue and taking continual trades until I finally hit something, which has been a bad habit that I've had. And I fired my 2 bullets in the chamber this morning. Both were losses, and then my move hit. It's the nature of the beast. We have to be able to internalize that and be okay with it, man. So, yeah, great day. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to take advantage of that. So I'm a little bummed there. But nonetheless, great to see things start to move again. Of course, we got CPI on Wednesday, so we'll see tomorrow maybe a little flat. But nonetheless,
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it happens. You gotta save some bullets, but when you fire them off and it doesn't work out, you gotta stick to your rules.
Exactly. And that's all part of just that journey, is figuring out what rules are meaningful to you in your trading. I know there's a mistake that I make consistently, so I have to figure out what rules I can implement for myself to keep that from continuing to happen. But this show's not about me today. This show is about you. So first and foremost, of course, I want to thank you for hanging out with us today and spending some time sharing some of your insights as a continued successful trader with Apex. So first and foremost, how'd you get into the game of trading?
Oh man, I can go way back in the days of looking into the penny stocks and seeing all the gurus on. Well, it was only like maybe 2 or 3 gurus online, and most of you guys know those gurus, the penny stock experts. And I got started with that, and I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna get in this game, I don't mind paying the courses and all that. So I bought multiple courses and joined their chat rooms and all that, and opening the brokerage, and just kind of that's dove right in, and learn the hard ways of penny stocks and how things move, and from there just kind of transition into from penny stocks to options, and now to finally futures trading. So ever
Right.
since I discovered Apex, learning that you don't need $25,000 like in penny stocks, you need 25,000 to avoid that the PDT rules.
Right.
And with futures and prop firms, you only need a couple $100 to get started. So I was like, I was hooked. I was like, you know what? Let's get this Apex going, understand, their game, the rules and all that. And honestly, going from options to futures without having to deal with expirations and delta and all those things that you don't need to learn, it was just simple. So, I stuck with Apex and I've been with them for, gosh, almost 3 years now. So
Nice.
it's been a long journey.
So, we talk a lot about the transition from options to futures. You're not the only one. We've had this discussion many, many times. And one thing that I always kind of like to explore, because I think this is different for everybody, but particularly like a lot of price action traders, a lot of what you learn as an options trader is translatable to futures. Did you find that that was the case for you, or did you have to relearn strategy?
Didn't have to relearn strategies. I'm pretty simple price action
Mhm.
technical analysis trader, and so the main benefit was just not having to deal with expiration, right?
Right.
And it's just you get in a trade and you don't have to worry if you're gonna hold it all day
Mhm.
or a couple minutes,
Right.
and that was very simple. And as far as transitioning, because I used to trade SPY,
Mhm.
and the SPY and NQ or ES is they're very similar in movements, and so the transition was very simple. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know if this setup's gonna work. I just tested it out,
Mhm.
and I mean, like I said, it's simple technical analysis and price action. As long as the NQ is moving, I mean, I'm making 10, 20 points and catching it.
Mhm. Now, okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get into strategy. But I'm curious. You talk about when it's moving. I mean, do you have a way of trading on flat days or chop days that is in any way meaningful, or do you try to avoid them?
I mean, now I do. Now
Okay.
I've learned that when if the price action can't move more than 25 to 50 points within an hour,
Mhm.
30 minutes to an hour, then I can kind of determine that's a choppy price action, and likely you're gonna get whipped around and your levels will not hold. And so I try to avoid that. But the main thing is, if let's say if there's like news or stuff like that, after the news, it typically chooses the directions,
Sure.
and then you'll have a continuation of a trend. But on if it doesn't move 25 points or 50 points, then you're gonna get chopped.
Now, are you at this point you're pretty good at identifying those chop days? Is that really kind of your gauge? Is if you've got a half hour or more of just not a whole lot of movement?
Yeah. So, like for example, like if you like, let's say you just hopped on, because since futures it's pretty much 23 hours a day. If you just hop on whatever time and you look at the previous, half hour to 1 hour price action, if it chopped in a range within 25 points,
Mhm.
don't touch it. And then the simplest thing to do is just put a level at high and low until it gets out of that zone, and then you
Right.
can kind of anticipate that direction. And if it
Mhm.
gets back into that zone again, then just don't touch it.
Right. Now, when it came to developing your strategy, I know you said in the early days with the penny stocks, you bought some courses and things like that. Did you continue that route as far as learning as you went through this process?
I kind of just scrapped that. I mean, once you learn a strategy
Mhm.
and learning the price action, I used to read level two and all that good stuff. But now, like, I've simplified everything. Like in my charts, it's just EMAs and trend lines.
Yeah.
And since I got rid of all the RSI, the level twos and all that, I just
Mhm.
look at the range. Like
Yeah.
if it stays within the range, then that tells me it's a chop. And yeah, you can add all those other indicators to tell you, there's an order block here, an order block there, and then it just kind of gives you that fixed bias.
Mhm.
And sometimes we can get stuck in a bias and we don't see the bigger picture,
Right.
right? And so I just scrap all that and just keep my charts clean.
Okay, so you brought up the word bias, and I love this conversation because it's a highly, highly debated conversation in the world of trading, where you'll have some traders who say you have to have a bias and only take trades in the direction of your bias. Do you operate that way at all, or are you completely without bias and you're just looking for a move regardless of direction?
Yeah, I'm completely without bias. I can see, like, my time frame is 1 minute, 5 minute, and 15. And if I can just see a range within those time frame that I can catch, and again with NQ, you're only looking for 10 to 20 points, and
Right.
yeah, other traders, may look for 50 to 100 point move, but that's just not me.
Right.
I mean, slow and steady wins the race, so you only need a couple points on NQ and catch it, right? Later on, once you build that account, then yeah, you can start swinging for the fences. But as far as like catching a trade, I mean,
Mhm.
look if you look at the 1 minute right now, it's kind of like downtrending. So all you got to do is figure out your levels and then
Mhm.
get in, and then if it works out in your way, 10, 20 points, take it. That's good.
Beautiful.
That's good money.
Well, let's do this. Let's quit messing around. Let's go ahead and pull up those charts and have a look, so you can kind of share with us what it is that you're ultimately looking for. It's always great to just put a picture to this. And I gotta say, I love trend line traders, because I love just seeing the laser beams across the chart. So let's have a look. So you're trading only NQ at this point?
Yeah, only NQ. I used to trade the ES,
Mhm.
and I have a little private group that a close friend of ours just we kind of trade together.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, we were just trading ES. We're just like messing around.
Mhm.
And one of the traders in the group was like laughing. He was just like giggling. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And he was like, "Bro, we messed around with NQ and we got in and we made $200." And with ES, I mean, this was like maybe a year ago,
Sure.
and it was with ES to make $200 in a move. It was like it takes a good couple minutes,
Yeah.
and he would trade NQ in the backside and that without telling me, and he would be like, "I got in and I made $200. I'm out." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Like that quick?" So we switched over to NQ, and then from there we never went back.
I love it. And again, I know everybody's got their comfort zones. I first started trading NQ, and I did give ES a shot at one point. This was a couple years ago, and just like it got so boring that like I had to find ways to occupy my time in a trade that would normally take me seconds, and it was just so frustrating to me. Of course, that frustration when you're trading is not necessarily a good thing. I've always loved the way NQ moves. When I say I love it, I think that means that I'm more familiar with it because it's what I've
Hmm.
traded. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a distinct difference nowadays. It's not that different, but nonetheless, it's definitely a different beast for sure. So
Yeah,
let's
for
take a
sure,
look at
man.
what we got
Uh,
going on here.
Yeah, so I have three charts here. This is my overall setup. Nothing complicated. It's just a simple. Let me clean this up. So, kind of give you a walkthrough on my process. So, when I
Mhm.
hop in the charts, this is what I see right here. And typically, when I hop on, I'll have the previous day, lines and all that good stuff, all the mess that I did from the previous trading.
Mhm.
And the first thing I do is just clean my charts because again, I want to start fresh with no bias,
Mhm.
no directions or anything like that. So I would clean my charts just like this. Oh, I'll get rid of that. So a blank slate, no trend lines or nothing. So then I would sit there and look at it. Okay, I'll start with the 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the 15 minutes here on the left-hand side, and
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of an uptrend, and we're kind of topping off in this area right here, right? We're topping off. So I know there's a resistance there, and so typically what I'll do is I'll use the pitchfork. I'll use the pitchfork like this, find out the previous day, not the previous day, but the actual trend, kind of swing highs and swing lows.
Mhm.
And I'll just try to connect the dots. And I'll literally move it up and down to just kind of let's see how many trend lines will it touch as far as like high points.
Mhm.
So in this example right here, I see that this area is kind of in confluence to this is kind of like a resistant line right here, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, so I'll go with that. Now let's go over to the 5 minutes. So the 5 minutes here on the right hand side, I'm like, okay. As you can see, the window is a little bit smaller because again, I don't want to look too far back anymore
Mhm.
because now I'm just trying to catch a small direction on the 5 minutes.
Right.
So I see it here, and I'll do the same thing. I'll do the pitchfork, and I'll swing high and swing low and try to pivot that over. And if it doesn't catch the rest of the price action, then I'll adjust it.
Mhm.
I'll adjust this, okay, and then I'll try to move it up like this. And typically, what I've found too in the past, if the trend is too steep,
Mhm.
it's not sustainable.
Right.
is not sustainable. So I know that about a 45 degree, for some reason, I don't know why, but about a 45-degree trend, it's sustainable. Like you can count on, okay, if it's 45 and it's starting to move upside or downside, then it has that probability it'll continue there, right?
Sure.
So that's what I do. Let me see here. Actually gonna try to catch a bigger trend here. Okay, so that now this makes more sense. Okay, right here. So to kind of simplify it, I got the pivot point here, pivot point low here. It's touching this trend line and is confluence to this line. So
Right.
now I know that, okay, somewhat the trend is starting. That's about 45 degree,
Mhm.
and it makes sense. So now I use the EMAs, which is I have the 9 EMAs and the 21 EMA in all each one of these charts, and I
Right.
use that as kind of a level to go, okay, on the 15-minute here, there's about the 9 and 21 is kind of a distance of the price action, right?
Mhm.
So I know it's like, okay, this can potentially move down this way,
Right.
right? So that's that gap. So now I look at the 1 minute. It's like, all right, there's a gap on the 15-minute, the price action and the EMAs. The 1 minute is starting to trend line. Okay.
Mhm.
So now I go, okay, where is that 9 EMA at on the 15? So I'll draw a line there. So now, as you can see in the middle here, this is my 1 minute. This is where I take my trades, my entries and exits.
Mhm.
So now I know that I have a potential trade here, that much movement. So how much is that? So we got 840 down to about 800. That's a
Mhm.
40-point gap. So I know that, okay, I can trade this downside because now if you look at it this way, I'm going to do my trend line here, find a pivot point that can kind of make sense, and right here. So now I have this gap potential,
Mhm.
and I have every single one of these trend gap to trade off of,
Okay.
right? So this is a beautiful setup here. So I know now we're okay. Well, I'm downtrend. All I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a trade um, in this trend line. So if it
Mhm.
touches this trend line right here, I can take that short, right? So now I'm just going to sit in my hand. I'm like, all right, come on, give me a quick pop to join this quick little trend down,
Uh-huh.
and I got a target to the downside. And I don't have to catch all this moves, right?
Right.
I can just go from trend line to trend line,
Sure.
and that's it. As
Are,
simple as
are
that.
are we about to take a live trade on the Trader Bacon Show?
We could if this pops up, it gives us a quick entry. 850 looks like a good resistance zone, and when it starts to move too fast,
Yeah.
right? Then believe it or not, if it whips down, I will actually just cancel this
Yeah.
and try to catch a quick little bounce up
From the
because
next
of
line.
I
Okay.
know that each one of these lines is very reactive zone,
Sure.
and I can catch 5 to 10 points easily.
Nice. Now,
Yep.
okay, so I've honestly I've never used the pitchfork. We've never talked about the pitchfork on the show ever since the beginning of time. By the way, we're coming up on the 2 year anniversary here, actually on Thursday. So this is sort of the 2 year anniversary show. I thought I'd
Nice.
throw that out, but I've never seen this used. I've never had someone teach me how it's used, so I'm actually super fascinated by this. And I'll throw out the caveat: no, this does not mean I'm going to change my strategy to using the pitchfork because that's not the way we roll here at the Trader Bacon Show. But this is really, really interesting information, and I'm loving watching this go. So, is this something that you developed? Is this something that you sort of evolved from other, just other things that you've done or learned?
It's kind of a hybrid of everything, right? I mean, going from courses to courses,
Sure.
gurus to gurus, and I've learned that with the pitchfork, believe it or not, like the way I discovered this is I was actually just drawing trend line, or
Hmm.
not even trend line. I was just drawing levels.
Yeah.
So every single one of us learned like, okay, where is the supply and demand zone, right? We're like, okay, there's a this area right now is a supply,
Sure.
and this area down here is a demand zone.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And this is kind of the birth of this strategy was discovering that I'm like, how do I simplify like finding out the levels? You
Mhm.
know, like where's the pivot points and all that good stuff. And I was just drawing lines. Like I would literally, let me see here. So I would do this. I would draw this high right here,
Mhm.
and then draw this high. And I'm like, okay. And let me see here. Okay, so those two lines right there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, how do I find out the middle, right? Because then, yeah, we can all determine, okay, there's supply up here, there's demand down here.
Right.
But what about the middle? So what I did was like, believe it or not, I was like, and I'm a carpenter for like my past, career.
Uh-huh.
I used to build, houses and all that good stuff. So everything was like measured and stuff.
Sure.
Believe it or not, I was like, okay, let's measure 50%. And this is me before discovering like all those
You
Fibonacci's and all that,
you're able
right?
to fit, right? Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so I was literally like, okay, measure it. I'm like, okay, 50% is right about here.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, look at that. Like, it actually responded right there. It responded right there. And it's responding right here. I'm like,
Right.
holy moly. Like, okay. So how do I find out the middle of those two? I'm like, okay, let's do another 50%. So I would do a 50%. And you're like, holy moly, it's responding right there, right here, right? So now I'm like mind blown. I'm like, okay, there's reaction levels
Mhm.
in based on the supply and the demand side. I'm like,
Sure.
okay, let's do another one on the other half. So I'll do 50% there. And you'll find I'm like responding right there. So now I'm like, okay, if this is going in that trend line, is going to have a reaction right there.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh my God, I've cracked the code. This is it. This is it. So I'm like, okay, now I have all these bubbles and lines. I'm like, okay, how do I clean this up?
Right.
How do I clean this up? So now that's where the birth of the pitchfork. When I found out, I'm like, I can have that 5 line determine its level,
Sure.
right? So if you do the pitchfork and then you kind of find that level. So since we drew out the line on that high and the
Uh-huh.
swing low, I'll put my pivot points there, and then I'll let that touch on that trend line.
Mhm.
So I'll have the pivot point up here, and then I'll catch this pivot point right here, and then this pivot point low. Okay. So now, as you can see, it's aligning with everything I just did.
So you took your horizontal levels, you turned them at an angle, no more than 45 degrees, which is nice because that's pretty easy to visually see,
Yeah.
and you found your strategy.
And that's it. Look at where all my bubbles right there, right?
Right.
It touches the trend line
Huh.
on point, and then the next area will be right about here,
Mhm.
and then that also aligns with this price action.
Right.
So I know when it gets there, I'll take my trade off, and I'll be like, it should chop here.
Right.
And then I wait for another chop. And then what you do is because the thing is the stock will generate liquidity and then seek liquidity,
Sure.
right? So I know it'll generate liquidity at this level, and it's gonna want to get out of that zone again and then move. I don't
Right.
know if it's up, I don't know if it's down, and that keeps me in alignment with where it wants to go versus where I want it to go.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay,
So,
cool, dude. This is like I said, super fascinating. I've never had a conversation about the pitchfork before, which is interesting because I think I've had every conversation about trading. And that's I love the visual nature of it, and the fact that of course, for you, you've proven that that this is these are meaningful levels for you for the way that you trade.
yes.
Um, how do you set your risk on these trades?
So the risk is, oh man, the best part about this is if you enter
Mhm.
at this trend line right here, this is popping up right now, right?
Right.
So I would take that trade there, and then here, we're gonna do live right now.
Uh, right.
So I want to take this short because I want to join the trend line.
Mhm.
So right here, which we kind of missed the trade there, I'd like it to pop up. Now the risk is I got a 10-point risk on this.
Okay.
Now I know that if it pops up on the other side of that line and hold, likely it's gonna want to seek another liquidity, which is the
So
next
it's
liquidity
okay.
line, this high right here.
Mhm.
That's where it wants to seek. As soon as you get over that trend line of that 45 degree and hold and kind of chop a little bit, I know it's gonna want to seek that liquidity to the upside, grab it, and then possibly continue. So my
Gotcha.
risk is 10 points. It's pretty simple.
Okay. I mean, that's amazing. So, dude, I could talk about this all day because this is new. This is the new one for me, and of course, I love getting that new information and seeking different ways of looking at things. Again, not going to go out and start pitchforking every trade anymore, but I love the way that you can see the visualization of it, and that I've never used the pitchfork tool. I guess you can sort of navigate it to where it just sort of fits, and then all of a sudden it continues to fit, which is pretty cool. And
Yeah.
forgive me if that's a super simple concept and everybody knows this but me, and that's entirely possible. It's just not what I've looked at. So at
Yeah.
this point, you're on the other side, man. You've developed your strategy. Not only have you developed your strategy, you're talking to other people about it because, of course, you've got your guys that showed you NQ works too. Uh, where are you on the other side of this? You said you used to be a carpenter. Is this what you do now for a living? Is trading your source of income?
Yeah, full-time trading. Got paid out back to back last month,
Mhm.
and basically, I mean, I still have my skills and connections on the
Sure.
construction side. So I'll get a referral from like a buddy or a friend. It's like, hey, we need this, bathroom remodel or a fence
Right.
job, and I'll take on the job. And because I don't sit all day and
Right.
trade, right? Like literally, I would want to trade maybe an hour or 2 hours in the
Mhm.
morning, and I don't even wake up at 6:30 for the market open anymore, just because market open is just it's a 50-50, right? Because
Right.
there's news, special with Trump market,
Mhm.
you're just gonna get ripped on one side or the other. So I just wait till it slows down, develop
Mhm.
this type of price action where it actually continues, and then I'll hop on for like couple trades, and I only aim for a couple $100, and that's it.
So this is a great possibility for somebody who, like, I hear all the time, I would love to trade, but everybody says trade New York Open, but I'm at work. I can't do that, right? And it's like, well, you've got afternoon session, you've got London session, you've got Asia session, you've got all these different times of day. And yes, you can trade futures 23 hours a day, but so many traders are caught up in the I need that liquidity. If I'm chasing liquidity, I want to trade when there's most liquidity in the market, which is New York Open, that 9:30 to 11, right? So this is something that you found it's actually better to stay away from that, you know, hyper moving market, and you like the slower, the lunch times, the Asias and all that. Is that accurate?
That is pretty accurate because I mean, coming from the penny stock world, I mean, everything was hyper moved,
Mhm.
right? If it wasn't whipping, and getting halted, it wasn't a good day, right?
Yeah,
I mean, in the penny stocks, like you're looking for, a trade that gets halted.
right, right,
For those of you that have
exactly,
traded penny stocks,
right,
but now, um, with NQ, you don't want that because you could be on a setup like this and it whips you, 50 points against your trade, and you can blow your account pretty
right,
easily. So now I'm like, okay, again, stick to what are you looking for in a trade? Are you looking for a 5 point or a 10 point or more? If you're
right.
looking for a 50 point to a 100 point move, then yeah, you'd probably want
More,
a hyper volatile market
yeah,
or price action. But at the end of the day, 5 points with NQ is $100.
yeah.
And then ask yourself, are you making $100 an hour at your job? If the
Most
answer is
people are going
no,
to say no.
if the answer is no, just take a couple points,
Mhm.
make $50, $100, and rinse and repeat. Because with
Yeah,
NQ, with this strategy that I've developed, is you can literally catch. Like, I mean, since we've been talking, it's moved from 30 down to 12 in the
right.
direction that we were talking about. And
Correct.
we wanted to take that trade. Unfortunately, NQ kind of literally quartered us from our entry.
Right. Which
So
happens.
I'm like,
You're not
okay,
going to catch every move for sure, but
yeah. So I know that it works. And to simplify it, in this case, I don't want that anymore. Like, this
mhm,
is a good example right here. I missed that entry. I
mhm,
don't want that anymore. Now it's coming back, right?
right.
Because also it's already touched this consolidation area,
Sure.
right? And now I don't like that because now it's my gap of direction has already been filled.
Right.
So I don't want to like, oh, he's coming back in right now. It's too late. It's already made that move. Let's wait for another. So like,
Mhm.
this is a good example right here. It's getting
Right.
messy on my chart. So
And look at that
good stuff.
reaction compared to the reaction on the downward. You hit all that liquidity, you hit those levels, and it's shooting up pretty aggressively, which of course means potential reversal or whatever the case may be. So, dude, I love it. Now, I kind of want to know a little bit more about the Pitchfork and how it works. Now, you've obviously got your social on there at DTF Trades. What is it that you're showing online on your social?
Is exactly what I just went over.
Do
Like,
you, do you, do you trade live or do you do recaps? How
yeah,
does
I
that work?
trade lives, and mainly I was doing everything in my Discord group, so everything was private, right? And I'd like to share this to more people and do more live videos on YouTube, and they can watch and ask questions and all that good stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's like I'm making my money in trading and in my my career.
Sure.
So it's like sharing this to other people that is looking to learn. That I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I can't take it to grave with me, and it doesn't benefit me to just keep it to myself because I'm not making money from people. I'm making money from the market, right?
That's beautiful.
And with futures, it's like, dude, it's amazing.
You hear that, folks? DTF Trades on YouTube and Instagram. If you're curious about the way he uses the Pitchfork, the way he operates, or just want to kind of follow along and see what he's doing, make sure to go check him out. I've talked to TJ a few times. He's a great guy, obviously very giving and very generous of his time and his knowledge, which is, of course, why we have him on the show. So be sure to check that out. I know I will be. I'll be following you and checking out some of the stuff that you've got going. Because again, it's just another tool in the tool chest. Something that I think can absolutely at least help see different things, maybe targets and things like that. So, dude, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Always appreciate it. Again, I'm already over. I know I do this every week. I could do this for hours, and I'm not going to do that to everybody. But just a little business to finish up. Make sure to fill out that form if you want to win one of those evaluations. We are 80% off right now on all evaluations. Use promo code Benzinga. Go get those today. And make sure you're prepped for the rest of the month and leading into the summer. If you're looking for different times of day, if you're looking for slower trades and not getting whipsawed in that morning AM session on NQ, check out what DTF is doing, what TJ's doing over there at DTF Trades, because it looks like some pretty good stuff. And again, I know certainly piqued my curiosity. All of that said, TJ, thank you so much for spending your morning with us and almost taking a live trade on the show. I don't think it would have been a first, but certainly not a common occurrence that we do on here. And I look forward to catching up and seeing what you got going on as well. So
Of course,
definitely
Gates. Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. Thank you, guys. And yeah, come learn.
Awesome. Let's go check him out. We're going to have another great show for you guys next week. So don't miss it. Monday, 11 a.m. as always on Benzinga on the next Trader Bacon Show. Thanks for joining the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Make sure to join us next time, Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern.